What's up, BookTube? It's your #1 goth bitch, Enaby Darkness Dementia Raven Way, here to give you only the stalest BookTube tea as I talk about books that came out like 3 years ago. I wasn't planning to do this, but then I got finished filming another video and then I just thought, fuck it, I hate myself, I guess I'll just do another video. So here I am with some slightly darker lipstick to make you feel like I'm filming on a different day. Hashtag YouTube hacks. But really, my dark little heart is just here to talk about the one and only Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. I finished reading these in April and I really wanted to rate them 5-star books, and I finished reading them and I was kind of like, yeah, they were okay. And then I kept thinking about them and I kept thinking about how much I actually really liked these books. I mean, I didn't ask for a book hangover, but like, I'm reading King of Scars at the moment and I just keep thinking about Crooked Kingdom. I feel like everyone and their cat has read Six of Crows by this point. So first of all, we've got our nice little goth aesthetic going on here, red for my blood and black for my soul, standing out with our main bitch Six of Crows. This spicy little hell ride features a whole bunch of really lovable and like really, they're children, they're literal children, going on like a death-defying heist to kidnap and bring back like currently the world's most wanted hostage. And at the same time, they are both the most depressing while also the sassiest bunch of characters I have ever had the pleasure to come across. So even though I was really hoping to rate this book 5 stars, I think I gave it a 4, but like a 4 point something. Basically all my ratings are made up and the points don't matter, so like it doesn't matter. But when I was reading this, I kind of thought like I really liked our characters. I really liked just that they were all just in their own way, all just like these annoying little shits, except for Inej, who is like the purest and sweetest girl who ever stabbed a bunch of guys I've ever known. But the rest of them all really need to be put in timeout. This is one of those books where it was really slow to start. Like, there's just a lot of character stuff and a lot of backstory and a lot of setup, and you don't really get to the heist till like at least about halfway through. And I was enjoying it, it was interesting, you know, I'm a nosy bitch and I like to know people's business, so reading into characters' backstories is something that I very much like to do. But I think the point at which this book actually got genuinely interesting for me was when Kaz passed out in that like prison wagon. I was like, okay, this is the point, this is the exact point at which I became invested in this story. So as like interesting and wonderfully three-dimensional of a character that Kaz is, I think we can all admit he's not the best person. So like it almost pains me to want to say that, like, and I'm gonna need you to hold off on your judgment for just like a second before you jump to conclusions when I say that Kaz is one of the few characters in a story that I've actually been able to like connect to in the way that I can see myself in him, not in the way that I gouge people's eyes out for stabbing my friends. No, it's probably not something you would ever know because I'm like up here on a screen, but I really despise being touched. I really hate human contact. Unlike Kaz, I didn't go through any sort of traumatic event to make me this way. I just really don't like being touched, and it's definitely not to the level that Kaz's revulsion is. I don't like to show physical affection. I don't like it when people sit too close to me on the bus and I can feel like their shoulder touch my shoulder. It kind of makes my skin crawl and I really hate it, and it makes me feel just like it really grosses me out. I really don't like it. I'm really not a huge fan of physical human touch. If you're a cat, by all means, be on my face, you know. But for people, I really don't like it, and I've never seen a character in a book who had any sort of disgust with physical touch like I did. I will say, obviously, Kaz probably has a much better reason for it. I just have social anxiety and just don't like being touched. Of all the fucking characters that I have to be like, I feel a kinship with, it had to be Kaz motherfucking Brecker. I really don't know what to say to that. Admittedly, I do also do that thing where I don't generally like to show weakness, and like I'm not very good at making and maintaining friendships because I also don't show affection very well. But like unlike Kaz, I tend to be quite nice at heart. Like I feel like my social anxiety manifests in me being in fact overly nice to people and overly considerate and, you know, really not confrontational. So, you know, that's where the differences lie, and I feel like it's really important to specify that. But, you know, I did think it was nice for me to be able to see that. I don't think I need to go to the point where I wear gloves to touch people. I just tell people to keep away from me, and they generally do. I feel like I really did like all the other characters in this. I liked Inej, and while I was reading this one, I could see like the potential relationship between her and Kaz building, but I was like, I'm just not here for it. That may or may not change in the next book, but at least at this point I was just kind of like, I don't really care. And like I didn't really care much about any of the shipping in this book. Like I could see the whole thing between Wylan and Jesper starting to start, but I didn't really see much of either of those characters in this. They were very much side characters in Six of Crows, and you know, Matthias was just a whole lump of beige is the best way that I can put it, but like I still really liked them. I really liked their interactions, and I wanted everyone to, like, you know, have a nice time joyriding in a tank. I mean, who doesn't like that? You know, kids will be kids, right? So I did like this book, and I thought that I would rate this very highly. A 4 is still pretty good, or 4 point whatever I gave it is still pretty good, but normally I like the first book in a series the most. That was not the case. After we're done with Six of Crows, this little bitch comes along and decides to completely insist on making my brain produce various chemicals to make me feel things that I don't normally feel when I read books. I was reading this, occasionally I'd get like a little shot of dopamine, I'd be like, oh, thank you, you know, I don't get a lot of those. But also, like, the sadness, I didn't order this sadness. I ordered 6 of Crows, not 5 crows and a kuwait. Like, that's not what I signed up for. I loved that we got more of Jesper and Wylan in this book, like, as characters, and I finally decided that, you know, Matthias had some dimension to him. Nina is still, like, the most badass bitch out there. I loved Inej. Who the hell is Dunyasha? Don't have time for her, don't know her. Best character in this is probably Colm, because he was just stood there the whole time being like, why are you children like this? And you know, that's a question that I also have. This book, I still don't have an exact rating in mind. It's at least 4.5 stars for me. I've been debating back and forth whether I want to rate this 5 stars, and the only thing that's sort of keeping me from it is because I didn't feel like it was 5 stars when I was reading it. I felt like it was like the same as Six of Crows, but after I finished it, I kept thinking about it and I kept thinking about it, and then I started doing that thing where you go on YouTube and then you'll search like Six of Crows as Vines, and then you spend like 2 hours watching all the Vine compilations and seeing like what Vines everybody thinks relates to which character from Six of Crows. It wasn't that bad. Like, books generally don't make me cry, and like I didn't cry while I was reading this, but it was just it was just very moving and also very frustrating in parts. Like, I loved how this book played out. I feel like that because I was already attached to the characters and we'd got a lot of that character building out of the way in the first book, it really left room for just change and just growth, and so I feel like this definitely made the sequel the much better book. As I say, I normally don't like the sequel as much as I like the original, but I guess in this case, you know, this is like an Oreo and this is like a double stuffed Oreo. I hope I use that analogy right, because we don't have double stuffed Oreos in the UK, and actually my favourite bit of the Oreo is the biscuit, because like I hate myself. But you know, much like Colm, I'm just trying to be down with the kids. So yeah, if you were wondering, this is currently my highest rated read of this year, and I realise I'm not doing a very good job talking about the books, but like you can go to any other YouTuber's channel and get a really good rundown of the basic plot of this book, and then a whole load of discussion about what makes this book very good. I'm just here to rant about how it made me feel without having any right to. I definitely think I really like the way that Leigh Bardugo's like fictional world was handled a lot more in this one. I feel like in the Grisha trilogy there was a lot more like obvious world building and that we were stuck in Ravka, but I don't know, I'm one of those people where I tend to prefer like this huge sweeping fantasy world, but seeing it like from the small scale perspective, seeing it like, you know, the little things in day to day and just like the little bits of culture here and there. Like I really liked that, and especially because we got to go to multiple different places within these books and we had characters from all over the map. It really let us see like all the world through like various different perspectives rather than just like the bland ass boring perspective that was Alina Starkov. We don't know her, we don't talk about her. And I had felt like while I was reading this that I just felt, you know, when you can just feel it in the air like an oncoming storm. I could just feel that someone was gonna die, and I wasn't trying to work out who it was, but like just typically I just sort of expected it to be Kaz if it was going to be anyone, because it's one of those things where it's like it all starts with Kaz, so theoretically it should all end with Kaz. But you know, we all know what happened. We all know who they decided to kill off, and like I can see it. And like it definitely was moving. I just feel like we got so much potential for this character that then just suddenly went away, and on the one hand as a reader it was kind of frustrating, but on the other hand I feel like tonally it was very, very good for this book, because we all know that Ketterdam as a city is just a steaming shit pile of shit bad luck. And it's that thing of, you go out into the city and you're probably gonna die, maybe you'll get sick, maybe you'll get robbed, maybe you'll get stabbed. It's just kind of like, there isn't any rhyme or reason to it. It's just normal people doing horrible things to each other for basically no reason. And I think that it being this unnamed boy who kills him, and the fact that they don't know who it is, they can't get revenge, it's just kind of like, it's just a shit thing that happened in this shithole city. And I felt like it was very realistic. I felt like the unsatisfying factor of it just was itself very tonally accurate. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but hopefully you can understand my mad ramblings. Like, are you with me? It's just, they're all nobodies, that's the whole thing. I think Inej has like a really beautiful line in there about like the people who aren't chosen, who are just like these nobodies, these nothings, and that is essentially everyone in here. They're all just almost faceless, nameless nobodies, except for like the little bits of the world they're trying to like claw out for themselves because nobody else is going to hand it to them. It just sort of makes sense for Matthias to just have this very inauspicious. I do also think that from like the storytelling perspective there's the whole thing about who is whose shadow, and you know, it's the young boy who is who he would have been if he'd never met Nina and gone on this mad adventure, which again, you know, like cyclical nature of stories and mirroring things and like, you know, themes, thematic, imagery, symbolism, I get it. But also from a storytelling perspective, because I'm now reading King of Scars and like I know that Nina is in King of Scars, so I feel like if Leigh Bardugo had known that she was going to continue with Nina's story, I feel like killing off Matthias was very much just kind of like a plot device for Nina almost, which I'm not totally mad at. But also, like, if I'd read this and didn't know that King of Scars was going to be a thing, then I wouldn't feel this way. But having read most of King of Scars at the moment, I can see how he could not have been kept alive. Like, his death needed to help set up the next chapter of Nina's story. So there was that. I'm really tired of holding those books up now, so I'm not gonna. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where for me, normally when I'm reading a book I'll feel like this amazing connection to it, especially like fantasy books, and I felt very entertained, but I didn't feel that sort of like connection with these books. It was only after I'd finished them and I realised I was staying up till 3 AM to watch various compilations of vines with like the characters' faces pasted across the faces of the people in the vines that I was definitely seriously whipped by these books. Like, I was completely hooked, and I love these characters now. And I don't know, I feel like if I am constantly thinking back about them, and you know, it's just one of those things where I'm definitely attached. I definitely care about them in a way that it's not just about like who lives, who dies, that sort of thing. It's caring about like the characters in like a literary sort of sense. Like, I want to know more about their backstories. I like seeing like the parallels and the symbolism and this whole thing about like who is whose shadow, and I like the little bits that we still don't know and the bits that are sort of like left up to interpretation. I keep thinking about these goddamn children, and like, I don't have time in my day-to-day life to be thinking about children, like, but here we are. So yeah, I definitely really liked these books. I realised this was like this wasn't even a review, it was basically just me ranting a little bit about how I felt about the Six of Crows duology. So, you know, let me know your opinions in the comment section, and please feel free to link me to your favourite Six of Crows memes and or Vine compilations, because I'm really here for those right now. Honestly, if I was in Ketterdam, like, these little things on my sleeves, I don't know what they are, but like, they can absolutely be used as a weapon. So with that all said and done, I think it is now known that I am officially trash for these books. So I don't really have much of an outro besides this janky music that I'm going to put over the end, like, title card things here. So I guess I will see you next time, BookTube. No mourners, no funerals. Fuck you, Jan van Eyck.